Now, you can think about your mindset as your invisible operating system. It runs constantly, influencing how you see the world, how you react to challenges, and how you show up in life. And just like any OS, if you don't update it, it limits what's possible. Welcome to the Personal Mastery and Growth Podcast, where we explore the keys to unlocking your full potential and living your best life. I'm your host, Jose Johnson. Whether you're looking to make a breakthrough, overcome a challenge, or simply live with greater clarity, joy, and purpose, you'll find the tools and inspirations you need right here. So let's start your journey towards personal mastery and growth right now. Welcome back to the Personal Mastery and Growth Podcast, your go-to resource for practical tips, insightful research, and inspiring stories to help you unlock your full potential. I'm your host, Jose Johnson, and I'm an expert in the fields of mindfulness, mindset, and peak performance, and I am so excited to have you here with me today. And in today's episode, we're diving into something that affects everything but operates silently in the background: your mindset. Now, you can think about your mindset as your invisible operating system. It runs constantly, influencing how you see the world, how you react to challenges, and how you show up in life. And just like any OS, if you don't update it, it limits what's possible. So let's break it down. I think about your smartphone. It's sleek, it's powerful, it's loaded with tons of features. But the thing that really determines how well it works, well, that's the operating system. If it's outdated, apps start crashing, notifications don't come through, and performance slows way down. Now, apply that to your mind. Your mindset is the operating system that governs how you process the world around you. It determines what information you pay attention to, how you interpret that information, and how you respond to it. And the wild part is, most people never update their mental software. Now, look, they're still running on mindset version 1.0. That's the code that was written in childhood, that was crafted through our early experiences, our family dynamics, our cultural norms, and our past emotional wounds. That mindset silently shapes your default reactions, how you handle setbacks, how much risk you're willing to take, and even how much joy you allow yourself to experience. We'll end up saying things to ourselves like, well, that's just the way I am, or I don't do well under pressure, or I'm not creative, or I could never do that. But they aren't truths. They're programs. And the great thing, programs can be rewritten. So let's look at what science tells us about this. The idea that mindsets are fixed, well, it's been thoroughly debunked. The brain is plastic, meaning that it can physically change in response to how we think and behave. This is the principle of something called neuroplasticity. Dr. Carol Dweck's work on fixed versus growth mindsets showed us that people who believe abilities can be developed tend to achieve more. They bounce back quicker from setback, and they enjoy learning more, even when it's hard. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Your mindset also directly influences your ability to regulate your emotions. Neuroscientist Dr. Richard Davidson found that people who cultivate positive emotional states like optimism and compassion actually strengthen the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making, focus, and our emotional regulation. So when you practice growth-oriented thinking, you're not just being positive. You're literally rewiring your brain to stay calm and clear under pressure. Now contrast that with the amygdala, your brain's alarm system. When you're stuck in a fear-based mindset, the amygdala gets overactive. That's when you start overreacting to small stressors, you spiral into worst-case thinking, or you completely shut down. But here's the key. When you shift your interpretation of a situation, when you reframe it as a challenge instead of a threat, your prefrontal cortex takes the wheel, and the amygdala, it just chills out. A 2010 study published in Nature Neuroscience showed that people who practice reappraisal, that means just basically reframing a stressful experience, had reduced amygdala activity and increased activation in the prefrontal cortex. In plain English, they stayed cool, they stayed capable, they stayed in control. And that's the power of a trained mindset. So how do you know if your mindset could use an upgrade? Well, here are a few red flags. You constantly doubt yourself, even when you're capable. You avoid new opportunities because you're afraid to fail. You personalize criticism, even when it's constructive. You need constant validation to feel confident. You procrastinate, not out of laziness, but out of perfectionism or fear. And if any of that hits home, just remember this. It's not a character flaw. It's just old programming. And once you can see it, you can change it. Now, let's talk about tools. Here are 6 powerful ways that you can start updating your mindset right now. First, run a thought audit. Track your thoughts for a day, especially when things go sideways. Write them down. Ask yourself, is this thought helpful or harmful? Awareness is the first step to rewriting the code. And number 2, ask yourself, what else could be true? Catch a limiting belief and immediately challenge it. So, for example, instead of thinking, I'm not good at this, try, I'm still learning, or I've gotten better before, I can grow again. This opens the door to possibility. Number 3, use the reset phrase, that's just my old mindset talking. This creates emotional distance between you and the belief. It tells your brain, we're not doing things the old way anymore. Number 4, start your day with a mindset prompt. Each morning, ask yourself, who do I want to be today? This sets your intention and begins the day with ownership and not on autopilot. Number 5, curate growth-focused inputs. Your mindset is shaped by what you consume. So follow people, read books, and listen to content that challenges you to grow. Like programmers say, garbage in, garbage out. So let's think greatness in, greatness out. And number 6, visualize your upgraded operating system. Take 5 minutes a day to mentally rehearse showing up with courage, clarity, and confidence. Your brain wires itself based on repeated experiences, real or imagined. So use that to your advantage. You don't need to overhaul your mindset overnight, but you can start updating it one thought, one belief, one behavior at a time. And if you're curious about where your default patterns are strongest, I've created a free mindset assessment. It'll help you pinpoint your current programming and show you where your biggest opportunities for growth are. And you can find the link to that in the show notes. So let's end with this reminder. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your mindset. So let's raise that level together. Thanks for spending time with me today on the Personal Mastery and Growth podcast. And if you found this episode helpful, please consider subscribing, sharing, or leaving a quick review. It really helps the message reach others who might need it. So until next time, stay grounded, stay growing, and keep showing up for the life you're meant to lead. And remember, it is what it is, but it becomes what you make it. So make it great. Thanks for tuning in. Before we wrap up, I just want to remind you that the information shared in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for professional advice or treatment. While the content of this podcast is based on research and personal experience, everyone's situation is unique, and the advice given may not be applicable to all. Always consult a qualified professional before making significant changes in your life. The Personal Mastery and Growth podcast is recorded at the So Good Media Studios located in the Candy Factory, a co-working space in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.